following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Sitting down and designing, where every man in a thinking, what are we gonna be wearing? Yo, I'm a Liverpool MC, you can't trust me, big up the girls inside the party. Let's get down to crazy Jimmy, big up myself and known as Alfie, the one and only, the Turkish MC.
Always love the clothes of Jimmy.
Bitch, I'm your one I wanna be, Jimmy Star's new celebrity.
We'll take you out to Jimmy Star's.
We're gonna wave. Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, bringing you the good times in music, fashion, and pop culture and entertainment. We got a great show for you guys today. Before we get started, let me tell you who they are. We've got the incredibly talented Monica Henry, daughter of the incredibly well-known, respected, and fabulous actor Paul Henry, and we have Augie Duke coming on. It's gonna a lot of fun. Before we get started, let me introduce my cool, outrageous man about town co-host, Mr. Ron Russell.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here today. The show's going to be fabulous. I just want to say I got my second shot Monday, and 2 days later, I feel fine. I don't get a reaction from the shot, and many of my friends don't. Some people got a little dizzy or a little tired. I didn't get anything from the shot. Yes, the shot is not foolproof, but it's better than not having it. Because if you don't have the shot and you get the virus, you can die. If you have the shot and you get the virus, you'll just get very sick. So I suggest, I really wish that everybody out there my age would get the shot. You know, so many guys and girls my age are so afraid. They said, you know, we're in our 80s. I mean, I'm 80, and they're in their 80s, and they're afraid that the shot may kill them. It does not. I'm 80 years old. I'll be 81 in May. And I'm terrific, and I feel great. So get the shot. Now about today's guest. I am so excited because you know that the 1940s and 50s was my years of film. Knowing Betty Davis was a thrill, and I know that our guest also knew Betty Davis. So we're going to have a lot of stories about Betty and all of Hollywood's great legends of when Hollywood was golden, when Hollywood was Hollywood. It was just the word alone, Hollywood, and everybody got excited. Jay, you say Hollywood, and they think of, you know, Hollywood Boulevard, Finest Grauman Theater, and all of the peddlers out front selling junk, and people running around and dressed like crap. So Hollywood is no longer the Hollywood it was in the days of the fabulous Paul Henry, who was outstanding actor and a beautiful man who had style, class, finesse, charm, intelligence, and was a good actor. If he wasn't a good actor, my buddy Betty Davis would never, ever have worked with him in Now Voyager, which is a classic film today, of which we will talk about with our incredible guest. So I'm excited. I can't wait to meet her.
And I'm finally, the chat room is coming up. Sorry, everybody. I was out of the chat room for some reason. I got kicked out, but chat room is packed. Hello, Thomas Claxton is in the chat room. Teresa Saban is in the chat room. Don Hinton is in the chat room. They like our pastel colors. Boomer Mays, football player, is in the chat room. Backpack John is in the chat room. I'm sure Cindy Lady Lake is in the chat room, but I'm not... I can't see everything that's in there. Cambria Carpenter, hello, welcome back. Happy to see you here. And let's see, hold on. Angela is in the chat room.
Angie, baby.
Pat Grant, oh yes. Cindy Lady Lake is in the chat room. Pat Grant, hello.
Hi, Cindy.
Nice to see you back, Pat. We missed you. You have a different watch on today. What do you got?
No, I think it's going to be we've worn it before. It's a 40s.
49.
49 watch, and it's in chartreuse and the shade of blue aqua that I'm wearing right now. So here, we'll hold it up. It matches the shirt that I have.
Matches mine too.
Yeah, but I've had this watch on. You know, I do run out of watches.
Yeah, we don't have one for every day.
I mean, I have about 50 watches, but it's a lot of watches, my dear.
It's a lot of fun. So the chat room is packed, you guys. We're going to have a lot of fun. If I missed you in the chat room, I'm sorry. I was way behind because I don't know why I got booted out. So I'm working on it, but we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We should. Oh, B. Claudia is there. Hey, B. Claudia.
Hey, B.
Yay.
Could we bring our first guest on? I can't wait anymore. I'm too
Oh,
excited.
she'll be coming soon.
I am so excited to meet you.
She's coming on in.
Her name is Monica, but spelled Monica. I guess that because Paul Henry was from Austria, and possibly Austria. That's how they spell Monica. I'll ask her to find out a little bit about Paul Henry. He was a Warner Brothers actor who was in Casablanca. He played Ingrid Bergman's husband in that wonderful film with Humphrey Bogart. Everyone knows who Paul Henry is. He went on to direct later in years. He was my mother's favorite. One of her favorites. She loved him because she loved all men that were foreign. That's why she married my father, who was a foreigner also, an Italian foreigner. Paul Henry had a charm and a class that no one else had. And if you see Casablanca and you see Paul Henry working and speaking, and then Humphrey Bogart on the other end is the tough guy with the bad grammar. It's just wonderful how you have the best and the toughest together in those scenes. And I think that's what made Casablanca the #1 movie of my era. Claude Rains was brilliant in it. Ingrid Bergman, of course, was wonderful. She had never met Humphrey Bogart. And the first scenes that they had, I believe, were love scenes. And I don't think that Ingrid ever met Paul Henry. And I'm going to ask Monica if that's true. So many questions to ask her. She's probably one of my most exciting guests because she and I are all that's left of Hollywood glamour, of Hollywood legends. I'm sure we both know so many people. She probably knows more than I do because she grew up, with them. I didn't. So I'm excited.
And she's very, very nice, you guys. She
Oh,
has a book coming out about Paul Henry.
Jimmy did a test with her.
I did a test with her yesterday. She's just a lovely woman.
You know why? Because people from our era, and I'm including Monica in my era.
Monica.
She doesn't go by Monica?
No, she goes by Monica.
Oh, Monica. Oh, I like Monica better. There's an actress, Monica van Veren, and she was Austrian also. So I believe Monica is how it's pronounced in Austria. But we'll do Monica if that's what she prefers.
I actually made sure to ask her how do I pronounce it since I wasn't
sure.
No,
but I like Monica. Everybody could be a Monica, but not too many people could be Monica. Monica is such a beautiful name. I'm sure that's why Paul spelled it that way. Well, I'm going to ask her if her father called her Monica or Monica.
He probably had a nickname for her.
Probably Monkey.
Why Monkey?
Because Monica people usually call Monkey.
I didn't know that.
Well, you don't know much about my days. Everybody had a nickname in my day. No matter who you were, you had a nickname. Humphrey Bogart was Bogey. Lauren Bacall was Bacall. No, we didn't even bother with first names because you knew who they were. Today, if you just give a last name, it's their real names and you don't really know who they are. Okay. Back in the 40s and 50s, everybody had a wonderful stage name you could pronounce.
Goddess just joined us too, so welcome, Goddess.
Well, hey, Goddess. Good.
Teresa Saban says you're classy and she loves the shirts that we have on.
Oh, thank you,
Teresa's so fabulous.
Yeah. Well, today we have a classy guest, so it's not going to be a risque show that we usually give you when we have crazy people on. We have a very intelligent lady on who has.
That means everybody else is not intelligent.
No. Everybody else.
No, she's from a different era.
I'm talking about a woman who sells and preaches intelligence because she's done colleges, she's written books, she's been interviewed. She's a very, very well-known woman in the business, and she is an advocate of Hollywood. Her father, she's proud of her dad. Who wouldn't be? I mean, he's a
big director too, which I didn't know he was a big director.
Fabulous director. He directed many Alfred Hitchcock
28 episodes. He also did. Which we'll talk about. He also did episodes of.
He directed
The Big Valley.
He directed Betty Davis in a double life, or it wasn't the double where she played herself twice, where she was the rich sister that killed the poor sister and took her place. Dead Ringer. Paul Henry directed Dead Ringer. So he's got quite a lot of.
That's the movie that with Betty Davis kills her twin sister.
Well, there are two of them. There's A Stolen Life, where Betty Davis and her sister go out in a boat, and one twin drowns.
Yeah, they remade that.
Wait, don't bother remaking.
With Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, well, don't remake. I mean, Betty Davis made a movie called The Letter, which is one of my favorites. And then they did The Letter years later with one of the stars that I love, beautiful blonde who passed away young. What was her name? I can't think of her name. Anyway, it was not a good production. I think when they start to do classic Hollywood movies today, they lose the essence of the film. You cannot do Casablanca. You cannot do now Voyager today because it will never play. Back then, we had the sets, the designers, the gown makers, the hairdressers, the makeup people, studios that manufactured these people. And when they did a film, The Letter. Perfect. It was not the issue because the studio heads gave the money. They didn't have to go out and beg for the money like we do in films today. You had a script, you handed it to the head of the studio. If they liked the script, then they decided what actors should play the parts. They submitted it to the actors. Many scripts were given to Betty Davis that she said, forget about it. Like they gave her Gone with the Wind. And Betty said, oh, this one's going to be a pip. And she refused it, which was a big mistake. Because if she lost the Oscar that year to Vivian Leigh, who won for Gone with the Wind. So Betty would have won 2 films, or had been nominated for 2 films, had she done Gone with the Wind.
Cindy says she loves all the dresses from all that time, too, which is
Oh, sure. The costumes were beautiful back then. You had Ora Kelly. Ora Kelly was a fabulous designer. You had Edith Head. My God, Barbara Stanwyck wouldn't do a movie without Edith Head doing her dropped waist because Barbara Stanwyck had a low rear end. It was very low. And it didn't look good if she had a belt on her waist because then her butt looked like it was down around her knees. So Edith Head designed gowns that sloped down in the back with big belts so that her butt looked like it was up higher. Designers then knew how to make a star look good. Lighting. I mean, Joan Crawford only had one guy do her lights to her movies, and they used to shade her with Venetian blinds or a palm tree because Crawford had such a masculine face. They would shade her face down so she looked feminine. All those wonderful tricks they don't do today. We were watching a movie on Netflix the other night, and we saw the nostril hairs of a female star. Now, I don't think that's becoming or interesting. We saw paws. I mean, the camera was only doing these enormous close-ups, and we could see the blackheads, the paws in their faces. I mean, that's nauseating. We want to see a set. Years ago, we shot a wide shot, okay? And the shot was of the set room. The actors walked across the room. They sat on the furniture. Then they came in for a 2-shot or a close-up. Today, the camera is up their noses. What the hell is that all about?
So you ready to bring her on?
Oh, am I ready? I'm fainting from her.
Okay, come on, let's go. Rebel. I got Goddess on my brain. All right, Rebel, let's go. Let's see if we can bring her on.
I'm so excited.
They said she popped that again. She might be.
I feel like I'm going back in time, back to when I was a young man and how I loved my Hollywood.
I hope she's not having. She says she's having. I think she's having an internet problem.
I hope not.
She jumped in and out, so we got to wait a sec till she pops back in. Everybody.
That's why I like.
Goddess is in Ohio now with her parents, and it's cold. She said, "I'm not used to the cold." Here we go. Hello.
There she is. Well, hello to you, my dear.
Hang on.
Ron, how are you?
I am so excited. You have no idea.
Oh, how nice. Thank
I
you.
really am, because I know that this conversation with you is going to be absolutely thrilling for me, because we know some of the same people. We're from the same era. And your dad was one of my favorite actors.
Oh, thank you. He would love to know that.
I think they do.
So hold on. Let me make an introduction now that we know that we can hear you. All right, everybody. Now we want to welcome the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, incredibly fabulous Monica Henreid. Hello and welcome to the show.
Oh, hello, and so nice to see you both.
So
Nice to see you.
Even though you know Ron from Facebook, I'm going to do my regular introduction. So this is our cool, outrageous man about town, Ron Russell.
Who's going to behave today?
Oh, you don't have, not on my account, Ron.
No. Sometimes we have on people that like it very risque, and we can get kind of sleazy and dirty.
But we're not going to do that
still,
today.
Raquel Welch turned down a show. She said, "No way am I ever coming on your show," because she probably looked in at one that we had with a stripper or something. But she didn't look to see that I've had legendary Hollywood stars on our show.
So hold on, we have a chat room. We have a chat room filled with all different countries. We've got Germany, England, Canada, lots of people in the United States. So that people from all over. So please say hi to everybody in the chat room.
Hi, everybody in the chat room.
And then I have a few classic film buffs. So we have to say hi to Cindy Lady Lake.
Hi, Cindy.
And we have to say hi to B. Claudia.
I'm sorry, Claudia, something?
B. Claudia.
In Germany.
B-E-E Claudia. B, like a B.
Okay, B. Claudia,
There you
got
go. And Teresa. Say hi to Teresa because
Hi,
they've all been
Teresa.
super excited. So there we go.
Okay, before we go any further, let's set this record straight. Monica or Monica?
Monica.
Daddy called you Monica.
No,
Where did
he called me Pinky. He called me
Pinky.
Moni Line. He called me Mo. He called me George. Whatever was convenient at the moment.
But why did he put the K in your name, or why did your mother put the K in your name?
Because the Central European languages are more towards the Scandinavian, and they use K more often than C, whereas the Latin languages use the C.
Right.
Beyond
I love
that, I
it.
know nothing.
My father had that wonderful accent. Now, my mother, in 1910, was an actress, Jenny Gabriel, a child actress in silent film. So my mother raised me with Valentino, Vilma Banky, all those great stars, Gloria Swanson, who my mother knew. Paul Henreid was one of her most favorite actors, and I'm not saying this to flatter you. My mother thought that he was the sexiest, handsomest man with the most sophisticated class, and that he could treat a lady like a lady and make a lady feel like a lady, unlike Clark Gable or Humphrey Bogart that sort of knocked the broads around. Was your father like that in real life? Was he a charming, sophisticated, elegant, aristocratic gentleman?
All of the above.
All of the above, I figured so.
All of the above. He was every one of those things. He was one of the most gracious people I've ever met. And he was, I don't want to say not selective because that sounds a little strange, but he treated all of his fans the same way. He treated all of the ladies in his life the same way. He was gracious with everyone.
Love it.
Yeah.
I asked Betty Davis. I knew Betty very late in life, about probably 3 or 4 years before she passed away. And I forgot we were somewhere. We were gabbing. I brought up Now Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, Betty, I read once that you didn't like powerful men, that you would never work opposite a strong, like a Clark Gable, that you always preferred men that were sort of docile or giving. I said, but I didn't find that with Paul Henreid in Voyager, because he was the silent type, but the strong type. And his dialogue was wonderful because his dialogue put you where you should be. And he made it very clear that he was a gentleman. He was not going to abuse you and make you a backstreet woman, but love interest, and it was brilliantly done. And Betty Davis agreed with me. She said, of course he was a friend of hers, and she loved him, and she really liked working with him.
Yeah, and if it were not, I'm sorry.
No, as well as George Brent. She had a love affair with George Brent, not with your father. She never had an affair with your father, but she had an affair with George Brent, and she also liked him. Okay, now you take it.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was just going to say that they became great friends. And part of the reason they became great friends was because of Now Voyager. Because there were, apparently Warner Brothers was stumped as to who should play Jerry. And my father had just done a film called Joan of Paris over at RKO, which Betty had seen. And so she had said to whoever the powers that be, if it was casting or producers or, if it was Hal Wallace or Jack, I don't know who it was. She said, I saw this guy in this film, Joan of Paris, and he's really good. And I think we should try him, test him. So he came over to Warner's and he did a test. But in order to do the test, they sent him to makeup and wardrobe. They dressed him like George Brent. They did the thick makeup. They slicked back his hair. He did the test. Luckily, truly luckily, Betty saw the test and said, "Who's that?" I mean, they made him up to the point where he was unrecognizable. And she said, "This is what you've got to do. Put him in his own clothes, get rid of the makeup, let him do his own hair, let him fluff out his hair, let him just be who he is and do it again." And there you have.
Betty had that kind of control. Betty Davis had that sort of control. She
had a lot of influence, definitely.
Yeah, her leading men, as I said, she would never, ever play against Gable. And I mentioned that to her one time. I said, "I know why you wouldn't play against Gable." And she said, "Why, Mr. Smart Man?" I said, because he'd knock you on your ass.
Yeah, there you go.
And you couldn't do it. So you have to be the power pack. And she started to laugh. She said, "Oh, is that what everyone thinks?" And, Betty had that wonderful sense of humor. The thing I found fascinating about Betty Davis was I was up at the house on the colony house over on Havenhurst. She had a little get-together. And she was standing off the balcony, smoking a cigarette and drinking a scotch. I have never seen anyone inhale a cigarette and sip a scotch at the same time, blow out smoke, and not cough. So
absolutely.
So I said to her, "It is really amazing what I'm watching." She said, "What is that?" I said, "You can inhale a cigarette and drink a scotch." What's the punchline? Oh my God, I forgot it. And she said to me, no, she said something hysterically witty. Oh, it'll come to me. I forgot what it was. And I knew this. I've said this on interviews. It was hysterically witty.
Yeah, she was very funny. She was very, very and funny in the sense of clever and a very fast wit. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I knew her, basically all my life.
All your life.
Yes,
yeah.
I can only agree. She was quite wonderful.
She was a broad. She really wasn't a fancy schmancy lady. She was a broad.
Well,
she had a mouth on her. I mean, she threw that F word around. I mean, she didn't care.
Absolutely.
She was a tough broad.
We didn't have Thanksgiving being sort of a European household. So Thanksgiving, though it was honored and respected, it wasn't something we had. I mean, a turkey in our kitchen, I don't think you'd ever find that, because my father, that would not be something that he would particularly enjoy. So we would go to her house when she was in California over Thanksgiving, over the holidays. We would go to her house over Thanksgiving. She would come to us over Christmas. And I remember, I can't even tell you how many times we'd arrive. She'd open the door, cigarette and scotch in one hand. She'd open the door, grab my father, who was, needless to say, better than a foot taller than she was, grab my mother, grab me, and adults are in the library, children are by the pool. I've got to go back to the kitchen. I've been there all day. Now she's dressed in jeans, a chambray shirt tied at the waist, some kind of ridiculous scarf on her head. And she, just as fast as she got to the door, she was gone again down the hall to the thing. Now, the thing about her being in the kitchen all day was more as a commandant than necessarily the cook, because there was a full catering service back there. And the woman who ran the set, if it's showbiz, it's going to be showbiz, right? So the lady who owned the catering service, who was this magnificent, magnificent cook, her name was Helen Hayes.
Right? I met Helen Hayes.
This is not the
actress.
Helen Hayes.
Oh, okay, I met
This is not the actress. This was a very tall African-American woman whose name happened to be Helen Hayes.
Helen Hayes. Okay. Good.
Yeah, and then Betty would come out and be the hostess with the mostest. She always made sure everybody had what they needed. She was fantastic. She was one of the most down-to-earth people that we would come across. Needless to say, growing up in the house I did, there were lots of guests from across the entertainment community. And we got some real stinkers. I mean, I'll tell you. And Betty was never one of them, ever.
I gave Betty Davis a gift, a shower curtain and a padded toilet seat. And she loved, because we had a showroom on Robertson Boulevard called Designs by Wall Illusion, and it was a wallpaper store. And I had known Betty, and I said, "Come on in one day, when you're on Robertson." And sure enough, she came in, browse around. And she said, isn't that interesting? And she kept pressing the toilet seat the phone would give. She said, that is a comfortable idea. I said, yes, it is. She said, may I have one? I'd like to order one. I said, well, can we gift you one? I want to give you as a gift. She said, great. Now I could be comfortable when I read those awful scripts. So I started to laugh my head off. And there was a client in the store in the wings dropping dead because it was Betty Davis. And he near wet himself from laughter.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we went with Betty.
My,
my friend Lee Winkler of Global Enterprises, the founder, Lee and I, and two other people. We took a producer and somebody else. We went to La Moustache with Betty Davis. She had a pot hat on, pulled down, sunglasses, no lipstick. Nobody knew who she was. After lunch, she put the lipstick on like this. 1, 2 shots it was on. And she turned around and said to the waiter, more coffee. Well, there must have been 3,000 queens in that restaurant because it was in West Hollywood. They all jumped up and they ran over. Oh, Miss Davis, I adore you. Miss Davis, I love you. I love you. And all she kept saying was, of course you do. Of course you do. Of course you do. And I'm here choked on my coffee. Well, enough about Betty. Let's get back to Dad. Now, Ingrid Bergman. One of my favorites. I mean, her with Cary Grant. I mean, it was spectacular movies. Ingrid Bergman was by far probably one of the most natural, beautiful women. Your dad only
Hold on. She dropped her headphone.
Oh, I do that all the time.
She can't hear with that, so hang on.
I don't know where it is, but I'll find it.
It's okay.
That's okay.
This is so much fun. Yes.
You can't, so I don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to have it. We can hear, but it echoes though if you don't have it, so it's better if you have it. Yeah, it's better if you can find it because then you won't echo.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Question. I think the casting was brilliant in Casablanca. That's why it is the #1 movie in the world today. If people are asked what's their favorite old, I can't say old movie because Lauren Bacall said to me, Ron, a movie is only old after you've seen it. And she corrected me. She said, never say old movie. In other words, Lauren Bacall was never in an old movie until after you've seen it. Anyway, the film of yesteryear. They knew what they were doing because they needed somebody European, powerful, sophisticated, who could play the part that Paul Henry played. Tell me, what did Dad really feel about that part, and how did he feel about working with Bogart and Ingrid Bergman?
Well, that's interesting, historically and otherwise. I mean, he really didn't want to do it because the part was very small. It was, they talk about him a lot, but you don't see him a lot. If you go to the original script in the play, you hardly, I don't even know that you see him at all. But anyway, he had now gotten his name above the titles, co-starring with Michelle Morgan and Betty Davis. What did he want to do playing a supporting role with his name under the title, mixed in with other character actors? He was not happy about that at all. He was 34 years old. He wasn't ready to be, shunted off into the backwoods, so to speak. So there was a lot of conversation, I would imagine a lot of arguments as to how they could fix that. And it apparently the dialogues, the conversations went on quite some time as to how they could actually give him dialogue, make his presence known, so that you see Victor Laszlo, you don't just hear about Victor Laszlo. And they wanted, a kind of a stiff stick in the mud kind of a characterization, not an emotional thing. So I think he had to play kind of down the middle of that, just using his own. When he did then finally say yes, because they did agree to enlarge the dialogue, his time on screen, and actually put his name above the title. Of course, in any of the re-releases, that's not necessarily the case because that only held true in his original contract. But it's a great movie. It's a classic because it's a great movie.
Your father was so powerful in that movie. I didn't see him anything less than one of the stars. He was third lead. Third lead would be just as important as first lead.
I
Bogart was first, Ingrid was second, Henry was third. Your
absolutely.
dad played it with such strength because he knew that she was having a prior affair with Bogart. He knew all along that his wife loved Bogart. Yet he was such a proud man that he didn't respond to it. He was brilliant in it. I think if he wasn't in it and they put somebody else, the film wouldn't be the classic. My feelings
Yeah.
are that Claude Rains and Paul Henry both brought that movie to light. They
Right.
made it the
Thank
classic
you.
it is.
Seriously.
I'm serious.
I
I'm
agree.
serious.
I
I mean, Bergman
I
was
agree.
good. She was weak. You know, she did a couple of good things. Bogey was Bogey, always playing Bogey. So we got his act. We knew Bogey's act. When Claude Rains played that crooked cop, womanizer, and a gambler, and the way they joked around, that was wonderful. I love the film. I must have seen it
Yeah.
50 times or more. And your
Yeah.
father was brilliant in that.
So
Thank you.
I want to interject first of all,
Yes.
because we also have a lot of young fans who might not watch Turner Classic Movies and might not know. So number one, I want to just tell all of them, you need to see. Well, everybody should see Casablanca. I don't really know anybody who hasn't seen it, but I think younger people might not have seen Casablanca.
Wonderful film. Beautifully
And now
written.
Voyager, which was on Valentine's Day, which is a fabulous movie, and I actually like Dead Ringer, the one with Betty Davis.
That dad directed.
Because I'm kind of like I even like Exorcist 2 and stuff. So like I'm a little bit younger than Ron is. And I hadn't seen any of those films until I met Ron. I had never seen anything but Casablanca. I had
Oh my
seen
goodness.
Casablanca, but that's the
Yeah.
only one I had seen.
Well, Voyager was
Yeah.
wonderful because they didn't know how to do the 2-cigarette number. For him to light a cigarette and hand it to her, and him to light, it's too much film going by. So I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, did Dad pick that up, the 2 cigarettes in the mouth, light at the same time, hand one to Betty?
Well,
Was that his shtick?
it is that whole bit, and this conversation goes on, and everybody loves to argue it out to the nth, but that's okay. In the original book, there is a piece of business about Jerry lighting a cigarette, handing it to her, taking hers, lighting it, keeping it back and forth, lots of hands, lots of cigarettes, lots of business.
Much work.
Just ridiculous. In the script, it also has that as a piece of business once. And the day that they were to shoot that, of course, I wasn't born yet, so I'm getting all of my stories after. But anyway, apparently, they tried it the way it was written back and forth, and it was just neither one of them were comfortable. Neither my father or Betty were comfortable with it. And Irving Rapper was just going, let's just get through this and so on and so forth. Anyway, by the end of the day, it was unresolved. And that was for you, BB, or B, Claudia in Germany.
Yes.
We heard that a lot as a kid. Anyway, she said, what went wrong? Because you're grumpy. You want 2 sherries instead of 1 kind of in the evening. So he explained to her what was happening. And she just very leisurely, in her typical way of resolving issues, said, well, Paul, why don't you just do what we do? Which was a reference back to their entire courtship, their entire life together, when they both loved to drive. They both love cars with stick shifts. My mother loves roadsters and sporty things. And whoever the driver was, when the driver wanted a cigarette, the passenger navigator, would light 2 cigarettes in his or her mouth and pass it to the driver, so that the driver would never have to take the hands off the wheel or off the clutch or whatever have you. And that's where that originally came from. So when he went to the studio the next day and made it as a suggestion, took Betty to the side and said, look, why don't we do this? She went, oh my God, that solves the whole problem. They took it on the set. They showed it to Irving Rapper. He immediately said he didn't like it. Betty immediately said, but I do. And there was a discussion, shall we say. And then Betty called Hal Wallace and said, you've got to come and resolve this. And Wallace came and he went, yes, that's great. That's perfect. As a matter of fact, I like it so much, I'm going to have Casey Robinson put it in other places in the script. So you'll ultimately find it 4 or 5 times, whereas it was originally written just to be there once. and it became a signature. I mean, women would
Absolutely.
literally attack my father in public with cigarettes. Here, light this for me. Here. Oh,
Yeah.
no,
I,
this I can swear to. This I have seen with my own eyes. So even to the point where we were out to dinner. I must have been about 7, 8 years old. We were out to dinner somewhere very Beverly Hillsy, and a woman came over and literally sat in his lap, had 2 cigarettes, and said, "Paul, light me up, light me up." Well, who does that? You know, a
I,
crazed
pro-
fan.
I
Pardon
promised
me?
I promised Betty Davis in our friendship that I would not interview her. I've been interviewing forever. I had a TV show, Set the Record Straight. And I promised, but I said, I have to ask her another question. She said, what do you want? I said, 2 cigarette bit. What'd you think of it? She said, Ron, I fought for it. I told the heads, every man henceforth is going to light 2 cigarettes and hand them to their woman. She said, you've got to be out of your mind if you don't let us do it.
Yeah.
And that's what she said. She said that, and it's true. Years I saw every movie, 2 cigarette. Gable even did it, I think, somewhere. So Paul Henry was a trendsetter his own way. He wasn't a loud, boisterous man I could see on film, and he never played vulgar. He was always an elegant gentleman.
Yeah.
And in order not to bore the audience, let's put it this way, those types don't get famous. Your father did. Okay? Because your father had a charisma. He had a way of projecting that beautiful accent and the way he moved his mouth. And because I study film, I'm an actor myself. I wish I could do Paul Henry, but I would never. I rehearsed from now until I croak. Paul Henry was just a natural born actor, a natural actor. He didn't read lines. You never thought he was anything but the part he played. I'm a great fan of your dad's, and I'm not just saying this because you're on our show. I've had other people on this show whose parents were famous actors, and I couldn't care less about.
I have to say, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. He was very tall and very well proportioned, tall and slender, and the long arms and long legs, and there was something very poetic about the way he moved, and I would notice that. There goes the earpiece again. I would notice that at home. That just watching him pour himself a cup of coffee or putting his butter on his toast in the morning at breakfast when he was little, messy, schlumpet. Again, that's for B. Claudia, very schlumpet. He wasn't dressed for the day. He was in a robe and he hadn't done his hair and he hadn't shaved yet, but he would sit there at the table and he'd and there was something very graceful and poetic about the way he moved altogether, all the time. He was a good athlete. He was a terrific tennis player. He was a terrific swimmer. He was a good horseback rider. And again, there was something about that. And if you combine that with his, as you say, his voice and his charm.
A wonderful voice.
Wonderful
voice.
It's not one you ever wanted to hear angry.
I don't know that he ever could get angry.
Yes.
I saw him playing with Betty Davis in the film where he was the cello player and she was being Claude Rains. I can't remember the film. And there is Reception. And there's a scene where he's giving it to Betty Davis because she's a tramp and she cheated on him and she's having sex with being kept by Claude Rains. And he turns around and he said, your clothes, your jewels, your house. And he was as angry as a man could get. Yet he still held on to his style and class. He didn't become mean or vulgar. I respected his work tremendously. There are a few other actors of the same quality of he that had that sort of way about them. Claude Rains was brilliant.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Genius. I'm sorry I never met him. I'm sorry I never met his father.
There's a fascinating contrast right there. The two of them, Claude Rains and my father, did, I think, 5 films together.
Yep.
And for the most part, I won't say didn't get along, but they didn't socialize together. They weren't friends at all. I mean, my father came from a very aristocratic, very educated background, and Claude was a wonderful, humble farm boy. I did not boy, but I mean, he didn't finish school. He didn't. He had. They were polar opposites, and there was a lot of that did not mesh. However, their respect for each other as professionals, shines through.
Yes.
Yeah, but when Claude Rains had that scene with Betty, where he's telling her off and he's threatening her. I mean, and also I'm fan, he's Mr. Skeffington when he was poor Job. I mean, I love Claude Rains. I love everything. I've never missed a performance of his. Another favorite actor. I was born in 1940, so I learned all of this stuff from my mom as I was growing up because she was a movie crazy lady. And we came to California before they knocked Valentino's house down to go see it because the freeway was going to go through it. So I was 10 years old. My mother said, "We're going to LA. I got to see Valentino's house." Knocking it down. That's how crazy she was. Now, personal questions. Jane Russell was my best friend. In fact, I took her name when I started working. Jane and I were like brother and sister. We went everywhere together. We were the most wonderful friends. Jane's children, I don't want to say anything bad about them. I'm not particularly fond of any of them because they blame Jane for being a movie star, not a mother. Jane began drinking, and Jane became an alcoholic, and Jane passed out from alcohol because she became allergic. And she had to be treated and went on the wagon at 80 years old.
Yeah, wow.
Her children never forgave her because she didn't want a Hollywood mother. Betty Davis, the same thing with her daughter BD, and Joan Crawford's daughter, the same thing with Joan Crawford.
Yeah.
Do you in any way resent the fact your father was Paul Henreid and not Joe Blow from Kokomo?
No.
I could agree with you. I mean, if Jane Russell was my mother, I would be so proud. I'm proud of my mother anyway.
He wasn't a movie star at home. He was my father. He was very hands-on. He was very encouraging. He was yes, and yes, is your homework done? And are you getting A's? We had a lot of that. However, he genuinely cared. He cared how my day went. He cared what I did. And once my mother said, enough with the premieres, enough with the shows, enough with the everything, I became his date. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I started going to premieres when I was about 12 years old and going to parties and going to all sorts of wonderful events with him. And then as I got older and also became an actress and dancer and singer for a while, my young career, he was, again, very supportive, very, very wonderful. I worked with him in Dead Ringer. I don't know if you recognize me anymore. This is Janet.
I have to tell everybody.
Janet,
hang on.
the maid.
You played the maid. Dark hair. Everybody shed black hair or dark hair.
But that's not the only opportunity I had of working with him. By then, I had already done theater with him as an actress and as his assistant. I had worked with him on a lot of different levels. And he was always very good about, even like on times when we were driving home from the studio or from the theater or anything like that, he was very good about keeping the conversation separate. What was work was work. What was theater was theater. What was home was home.
He was a home dad.
So, I'm sorry?
He was a home dad.
He was
a home person, like a dad.
Absolutely.
Do you know Kiki Epson?
No, I don't believe so.
Buddy Epson's daughter, Kiki Epson.
No, I don't believe I ever met her.
Well, you should meet Kiki. You have a lot in common. She's a wonderful woman, adores her father. You know who he was.
Well, I met him.
Well, Buddy Epson.
I actually danced with him once.
Lucky
good for you.
Because he was quite a dancer. Anyway, she did a wonderful play all about her dad. I suggest everybody see. And she also loved him as a dad because he rode horse with her. They lived up in the hills where they still do. He was a total father. He was not an actor. He was an actor when he got on the set. The minute he got off the set, he was dad.
Yeah, that's right. And I was fortunate enough to have that also.
Good for you.
Did you know Christina Crawford? Because I know people can't say whose daughter it is. You probably wouldn't like it. One of Christina Crawford's good friends, a friend of mine, she said Joan Crawford was not as terrible as Christina made her out to be. Did you ever meet Joan? Were you ever in her house?
I did. If I remember correctly, when I was little, meaning before 10 years old, maybe 7 or 8 years old, we were in New York for some reason, and we had a play date of some sort. And I remember going into this massive foyer and looking down into the living room, and everything was sort of covered in plastic, and it was very sterile. I mean, literally exactly the opposite of Betty's, where you could go and lie down on the floor and climb on the sofas and no one was there. You know,
Betty's apartment, I mean, really needed to be dusted. I hate to tell
yeah,
you.
there you got that. But anyway, it was completely the opposite. So I remember feeling very awkward. And of course, there was a nanny with me, and then there was a nanny to walk. We were going to walk across the street to the park. Anyways, I just remember it was awkward, and I don't really remember the day or the encounter very much. I remember meeting Crawford in that foyer, and something about the coat, her daughter's coat.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Hard to say.
Hang on. Let me talk.
I got Jimmy. You're gonna have to do a show.
It doesn't matter. I want to talk.
You can't. I'm not gonna let you.
No,
I love and adore. I love and adore this woman.
We'll bring her back.
Oh, you bet she's coming back.
Oh,
So
I'd love it. I'd love it.
I want to just
Let me just say one more thing. He can have it.
I just want to ask one
Wait,
question.
do you know how many people I'm older than you are. You're younger than I. You know how many people my age are watching us today? We have over 5 million watchers all over the world.
Oh, my goodness.
That's our viewership. And I would say a great percent of them, because of me, TCM, are watching. And they're eating up everything you're saying. And I know that my email tomorrow is going to be filled with, we love her, bring her back.
So
first good. And it would be my pleasure.
I want to tell everybody, too, they should follow you in social media. So your Twitter account is at MEHenried. It's HENRIED. And it's
EID.
Oh, is it really? EID. I'm sorry. I wrote it down wrong. Okay.
That's
EID.
okay. Yep.
So, and then the Instagram is at We Love Paul Henreid, and it's HENREID, so I don't mess it up. So I want to just also bring up the point, because like I had never seen any classic movies until I met Ron. I have a thing, for a little bit older than me, distinguished gentlemen, and
I'm 24 years as senior.
Like Ron is incredibly gorgeous, and a lot of times I pick the movies out that I like based on the leading men and how good looking they are. And I have to say that I think Paul Henreid, Paul Douglas, and Cary Grant are my 3 favorite, like ever. Like I think they're like the most handsome, distinguished, classic, beautiful like men ever. And so, and that's why you got the genes.
Yeah, you have your dad's style. Like I could see that.
That's a very nice list to be on. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that very much.
My absolute 3 favorites.
Cary Grant.
Just on an aside, have you seen? Just on an aside, have you seen The Spanish Main?
No, I haven't, but I read about it today.
Yeah, but it was not my favorite. I got to tell you, I'm sorry your father did it.
You
hated that.
I mean, Jimmy was talking about good-looking men. Now, Ron, keep your trick knickers on. This is just saying that if you want to see my father
gorgeous
in action, gorgeous in living color, watch The Spanish Main. You can ignore the movie. Just look at him. The movie
was. I don't know. Okay. You know what? I have no idea why Paul Henreid was cast in that movie. He visually beautiful because he plays a pirate and his hair is wild.
It was his movie.
If I met him, I would have told him mistake, Paul.
It wasn't. It was the biggest box office that RKO had that year.
Go away.
It was huge, and still to this day, people love it. And I'm not arguing with you, Ron.
I never really liked swashbuckling.
He's not really a pirate kind of movie
and I
guy.
never liked Fairbanks. And,
I can understand that.
And Maureen O'Hara, my mother looked like Maureen O'Hara, by the way. They could have been sisters, except my mother was a blonde by bottle, and O'Hara was a red.
By bottle.
But my mother, as a young woman, was dark. So was Maureen. And my mother was in Macy's one time, and she was mistaken for Maureen O'Hara by somebody that they were doing something with a publicity stunt, and they put her in a movie, and the movie was a Christmas movie.
34th Miracle on 34th
Miracle
Street.
on 34th
Miracle,
Street.
yeah.
Because Maureen O'Hara was in that film and they shot it in Macy's. So everybody heard Maureen O'Hara is in Macy's and they thought my mother was Maureen O'Hara.
Oh, one more bragging thing besides all the
Anyway,
wonderful
let me
things that he
just
hang
get
on.
back to
No,
that
hang
film.
on, hang on.
That film
I'm gonna watch it,
was,
by the way.
well, it was not the Paul Henry I
That's
like.
because you like distinguished.
I like
charismatic-
Paul Henry when he's that wonderful, authoritative kind of.
gorgeous.
I can't do that. You know, they
Guy.
always post every movie I play a mafia, a priest, a gangster, a detective. I mean, really. And I've got 6 more movies coming up, and guess what I'm playing? Detectives and mafia.
Yeah. Well,
One of them I'm playing a Bronx school teacher who's Italian tough, fighting with the kids. Anyway, I would love to be Paul Henry in one movie.
I
Sit there and have that class and say that wonderful dialogue, the way he said that dialogue. And everybody
you're
just
so
stood
adorable.
there looking at him saying, this guy is good.
yeah.
One
Well,
more.
it's
Go ahead.
it's wonderful. It's wonderful that you say that because my father, for himself and for his career and his acting chops, he never saw himself as the pretty boy leading man, whatever. He was always interested in being the character actor. So he created the Spanish Main. He created Hollow Triumph so he could play bad guys. He wanted that stretch of his abilities because he went to drama school. He went to theater school. He has a degree that says I have the right to be an actor on the European stage. So it was very important for him to be able to do a little bit of everything. He sang and danced in The Merry Widow on stage. You know, I mean, he could do all of those things and he wanted to use all of those things. So, and again, we all get to pick and choose the movies we like best and the movies we don't like at all.
Yes. There are some Joan Crawford films I can't sit through, and there are other Joan Crawford films I could see over and over again because the character she plays is vicious and wonderful.
Right.
You know, Mildred Pierce, of course, is her classic Academy Award winning performance. I understand that Betty Davis wanted Mildred Pierce and didn't get it. I wonder what would have happened if Betty played Mildred Pierce. I wonder. I never asked Betty that because there were certain places you didn't go with Betty Davis, as you know.
Yeah.
Because she'd spin around and walk away from you. She didn't even bother answering. She'd just give you a look and spin and leave.
Wait, now I have to watch though.
Puff of smoke.
I'm gonna watch Dead Ringer now again because now that I know that you're the maid.
It's a brilliant performance. I mean, you know, what can I say?
Yeah, she's in the Betty Davis is in the bed, and she's in the bedroom picking up Betty's clothes, and that's a couple of lines and walks out. I always knew that was you. I didn't know who you were, but I knew that.
Luckily, I'm in more of it than that.
Yeah, well, that's the scene that I remember the most.
Yeah.
And then I think with the dog, something when she comes in, you greet her. You're in quite a few scenes. But that was fun. How did it feel for having that director?
Oh, it was great. By then I had worked with him a number of times as an actress and as an assistant director. So I knew what was coming.
How did he and Betty get along on that set?
Fabulous. They were co-conspirators again.
Again, you know, so many people in Hollywood didn't like her. Worked with her.
Well, their mistake.
Directors, because Betty Davis would tell a director, I'm an actress, I know what I'm doing, you're a director, and you don't.
Well, one of the terrifying things for directors and producers and the co-stars when working with Betty was that she actually showed up prepared.
Yes.
She did. She'd read the script, she knew her lines, she knew her marks, she knew what she was going to do, she had ideas, she brought ideas. She took what she did as a craft very, very seriously.
She was passionate about her work.
Absolutely. And my father was the same way, which is one of the reasons why they got along so well.
Yes.
Is because they both had that professionalism about them. And then I don't know, I think, you know, if Betty has something to say, it might be a good idea to listen because she comes with tremendous, not just the passion, but with tremendous experience.
Yes.
You know, and watching my father and Betty and Ernie Haller work out the choreography of the different scenes, especially because she's playing opposite herself, which she of course can't do. So you've got a body double, but then you can't cross lines. There are physical boundaries that you can talk through and not talk. Like I couldn't do this.
No, but they did
If I'm
split.
crossing that line, they can't make the edit. So to watch the three of them work together to put together the choreography of how she dealt with scenes where she's playing, or the scene where she kills her sister.
Right.
You know,
Don't forget, she did Stolen Life, where
Yes,
she played
of
two
course.
characters. So she was well experienced at the split.
Exactly.
They cut the film down the middle, and that's how they make the characters. And then they joined the two actors together. And Betty knew that also. She knew everything about film. She knew how to.
Exactly.
She knew her. She also knew. Didn't only learn her lines. She learned the actor working with him with her lines.
Absolutely.
Everybody's
Absolutely.
line. It was an
Absolutely.
incredible broad.
We should also, for younger people, brag a little bit, because we watch MeTV a lot. I don't know if you watch MeTV, but MeTV has all kinds of great shows on it. And your father directed 9 episodes. Now, I got this on IMDb, so if it's wrong, don't shoot me. But yeah, I read that he directed 9 episodes of The Big Valley, which when I was a kid was a huge show, The Big Valley.
Right.
One of my favorite shows, and 28 episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which is on every night at 1:00 in the morning.
Right. I've seen his name. Oh, I've seen the rerun directed by Paul Henry.
Yeah. So and I also said on there that he has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, one for film work and one for television work. So he's actually got 2 of them, which is another really cool.
Nobody
thing.
else does. I know.
Yeah, I don't know too many people who have 2 of them. So kudos to that. It must have been such a cool thing. And I think it's so cool that you're continuing his legacy. You have a book I know that you're working on about his career and his life, and maybe you're living with him as his father. I'm not sure exactly what it's about, but when it comes on, we'll definitely bring you back.
You come back and we'll help
sell it.
Thank you. And a documentary.
There you go.
Not just a book, but a documentary.
Perfect.
I want to ask you a question. You do not have to answer it if it's too painful. At the very end, how was Paul? At the end of his life, was he?
The end of his life?
Did he pass peacefully?
Yes, he did. He did. But leading up to that, his disappointments and his frustrations got to him. He was not a happy man, and he was not feeling that he had fulfilled everything that he had wanted to fulfill. He had been blacklisted 3 times in 3 different countries for 3 different reasons. He had survived that. He had lost his acting career because of the House on the gray listing or backlash of the House on American.
That's nonsense. That's stupid.
But he had lost his career as an actor, so to speak, because of that, which is how he got into directing and writing and producing. And there were things he wanted to do, and a lot of Hollywood didn't want to take him seriously, so he couldn't get the financing to do special projects that he wanted to do, lots of translations from classic European, German literature, and so on and so forth. So by the time, and he was 84 when he passed, so he had a rich and a very full life, but he was still, the irrepressible artist, the irrepressible poet and presenter and artist that he had been his whole life. He didn't want to stop. He never wanted to stop. He never wanted to retire to the point where he was put on a shelf and that was the end of it. He always had creative ideas. He always had creative ideas going. He always had things he wanted to do and work on. And I think just at the end, he was just frustrated, but he did pass peacefully.
I can understand his frustration.
Yeah.
I remember film, studio, actors, scripts differently than it is done today. I went back to work on a film a couple of years ago, and I said, "Where's the camera?" I don't see a camera. And they said, "Oh, he's got it. It's up there." It's up where? Where's my marks? Oh, we don't use marks. We just tell you where to go. And I thought, this is so stupid and so unprofessional. And the close-ups and everything they did was terrible. I came from a time where film was serious stuff. And I think your father felt that same frustration.
Absolutely.
The things that he wanted to do late in life, he should have done early in life when it was wanted, accepted. I think your father got like me, stale. Just get stale. Because we're not a part of today. I am definitely,
Oh,
as I said,
yeah.
I've got 6 movies to do. I'm not a part of those films. I go there and I don't even know I'm working.
Yeah.
I have no idea I'm in a film. Could you
It's
imagine not
changed.
knowing you're
It's
in a
changed.
film?
It's changed a lot.
Tremendously. It
It
shows
has.
on screen.
It
Shows
has.
on. There are no more Casablancas.
No,
No,
but
there are
that's
no
good.
more now
We only
voyages.
need one.
That's right.
We
I know,
only,
but
God.
I miss my youth and what my youth was all about so much,
yeah.
where people had manners. Hello, please, may
Oh
I,
yes.
thank you.
Oh
I miss
yes.
the world at peace where people weren't angry and saying dreadful things about one another. When
Could not believe
politics,
you. Could not
politics,
agree with you more. Yeah.
when a president was never abused or treated less than a human. We
Yeah.
wouldn't do that in my day. We had
Yeah.
respect for everyone. Whether we liked you or not, we respected you, kept our mouths shut.
And I hope they
Yeah.
never remake any of these films
Well,
because
I understand that.
I read that. I think that I read Now Voyager. They're talking about
Yeah,
remaking it.
well, they should only like forget about it because it's going to be a joke. If they're going to
Well,
make it modern,
it's just gonna be a completely different film.
they'll make it.
It's
They'll
not
make
going
it.
to be that film.
No, you'll see your father and Betty Davis's parts. The two of them are in bed having sex, smoking a cigarette or pot, maybe marijuana.
Exactly.
And,
But
and,
that's
and when she
it.
says, and Jerry, let's not ask for the moon, we have the stars, she's probably going to say, and Jerry, let's ask for some LSD because I want to see stars.
Well, again, it's not going to be Now
That
Voyager,
movie,
and
they
it's
don't
not
have.
going to be Casablanca. It's not. I mean, there are films that, even though they remake them, can't be remade, and they just those precious classics will always be just that, and they'll always be held out as that. It
Yes.
doesn't matter how many times I mean, they had a television series named Casablanca. They tried to make it, last
Yeah,
on television,
but
episodically. I mean,
what
good
about
Lord.
Gone with the
It didn't
Wind?
work, but they
Gone with
did
the
it.
Wind wanted to do Gone with the Wind too, and they did it, and it was the biggest flop in the world.
Yeah.
They made the
Well,
remake of Gone with the Wind. I mean, you just leave it alone.
yeah, would be
Hey,
nice, but now they're remaking musicals, and I mean, we apparently have, run out of material. So they're going back to the good stuff and bringing it into the current vernacular, the current culture, the current whatever have you, and it'll create its own audience. But
we don't,
the true classics will always be just, darn it, just
we
that.
don't, we don't have writers. When I interviewed Arlene Dahl said to me in the interview, we don't have writers anymore like we had years ago. Most of the old time good writers have lost their homes and all their money because
Yes,
nobody wants their work. And their work is the classic work. So now they're going back to the classic writings of the 40s. The production stink.
yeah.
I don't get it. I just don't
That's
get
just, it's just different. That's
So,
all.
so
it.
everybody,
Not a nice difference.
so everybody, listen up. Please follow
Is she
Monica.
going?
Yes.
Oh,
Please follow Monica.
Monica.
Please follow Monica on Twitter and Instagram, you guys. It's at MEHENREID. Monica Henreid, and that's Twitter. Instagram is We Love Paul Henreid. Again, it's We Love Paul HENREID. Follow her
I
on
think he
both.
pronounced it Henry, didn't he?
It's Henry. He's doing fine. He's doing just fine. But Jimmy, may I interrupt and say one more thing?
Absolutely.
If they want to know more about the documentary and about the book, then there is a Facebook page, which is Paul Henreid Beyond Victor Laszlo. And I write stories almost every day. Every time TCM shows one of his films, I fill it up with backstories and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of material out there if they're genuinely interested in my father's work. And I'm more than happy to answer the questions that come with the comments. So we have a lot of fun on social media.
Monica, whenever you do those posts, please send them to my page.
Oh, I'd be delighted.
Because I want my I've got so many elderly people that read my stuff, and they would be thrilled to see your documentary and read your book. So
Oh,
I'm
I
a good
do
out,
like
I'm a good outlet. So please send
I
everything.
love your Instagram post where you
to my
post
page.
all the clips of the movies and stuff. I think that's fabulous how you do
Yeah, and
that.
we can do longer clips on Facebook too. So
Yes, I
there's
love it.
clips and photographs, and I've got the nice thing about doing this documentary for my father is that he was his own best historian. I have got hours and hours and hours of home movies of him around the pool playing I have him cleaning the pool. I mean, he was such a neat guy. He really was. He was wonderful. And again, I have that. I have love letters between my parents. They were together for 60 years. You know, that's
Oh,
that's
beautiful.
a good run for Hollywood.
Mary, don't you have a sister Bella?
I'm sorry.
You have a sister named Bella.
No, I do not. I do have a sister though,
What is
who
her
is
name?
she's not interested in show business whatsoever. She was a nationally ranked tennis player as a young person. She did really, really well athletic.
Oh,
I'm just not able to keep this little guy.
I was too. I was a nationally ranked tennis player too. That's okay. We're gonna let you go now anyway. But I want to thank you for coming on the show. Number one. Number two, we're Facebook friends, and when you have stuff to promote, let us know. Everybody loves you, and we'll bring you back. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Monica,
everybody.
Monica, you were absolutely a joy in my day. I so enjoy you. You're beautiful, you're sophisticated, and you could see that you're chip off the old block.
Thank you.
Take care, stay safe,
Bye, Monica.
stay safe, stay happy, stay well. I know, honey.
Yay.
Bye-bye.
All
What
right,
a
everybody.
Nice
What a
girl.
wonderful, fabulous guest.
What an hour.
And our next guest is already in the chat room, and we're going to bring her right on in and just follow it up. So this should be fun. Hey!
Another star. Look at this one.
Wait, hold on. Monica is a class act, and I should leave right now.
No, not at
shut
all.
up. But did you know who her father was, Paul Henry?
Yeah, I mean, her story's
Wonderful actor. Wonderful.
she's stunning.
She's
Yes.
wonderful.
Like,
Oh.
I can't even with her. She's so classy. I'm like, how do I keep it?
Her father was a big class. You've seen Casablanca, right?
Yeah.
Of
Come
course.
on.
Oh, he's actually one of the young actresses now who knows a lot about old Hollywood.
Her mother's an actress.
So it's fabulous. She's from a whole entertainment
Your mom
family.
doesn't act anymore? I bet you she would.
Okay, wait, hold on. Did you guys get your shots? Are you on your second shot? This is the most important thing to me right now.
I got my
his. I
second
did.
shot 3 days ago, and I feel great. No after
You feel-
effect.
Okay, good. I was like
Hold
worried.
on. We have to do an intro. Hold on, everybody. So now, everybody, we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, the incredibly talented and gorgeous Augie Duke. Hello and welcome to the show.
Yay! What an intro.
It took us forever to get you here, and I'm so excited. And I'm going to tell a story after we have
Wait,
you
you
say
didn't
hi to
introduce
everybody.
me.
I know, I'm getting ready to. So this is our cool, outrageous man about town co-host, Mr. Ron Russell.
Who loves Augie Duke so much. She's a good friend of mine, folks. She's not a stranger to me. I can't wait to go to her wedding. When is he going to
Okay, so
ask?
that's 5
When
million
is,
people.
when is he going to pop the question? When is he going to pop the question?
That's like
Augie?
5 million people that he's like just telling that
Is anyone popping the question during a pandemic? I think we all want to murder each other right now. Is that what?
Well, you know, when Sadie Katz and Miles get married, maybe your guy will get like a little jealous and he'll say, "Let's get married too."
Oh, they like your cheekbones, Augie. They're saying
She's
great
beautiful.
cheekbones.
She's a good actress. I worked with Augie in a film.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Hang on. So first of all, we have a chat room full of people, lots and lots of people in the chat room. Several countries are in the chat room. So number one, say hi to everybody in the chat room.
Oh, thank you guys. That's so awesome. Hi, everybody.
And then we have Dawn Hinton in the chat room, who's a big fan, and she always watches the movies of every guest. So say hi to Dawn specifically.
Love Dawn. Hi, Dawn.
There you
I feel
go.
like Dawn and I are like besties now. We talk more than I talk to my friends. I love her. Tell her I love her.
She's fabulous. So she's like digging it. So she's all happy now. And so I have a little story to tell. Okay. We've had this show for like 13 years. Ron's been on it for almost 10. We interview all kinds of famous people, so I don't usually get flustered at all when I like meet people who've like been in things that I like or anything. So when I knew that you were going to be in Clown Fear and that Ron was in that movie, I only wanted to go to the movie set so I could meet Augie Duke. I was so excited, and I was like, if she's a bitch, it's going to totally like wreck everything for me. And you were so nice, and I was so excited. And I don't even get excited because like I know like so many people, but I love Bad Kids Go to Hell so much. It was like such a great freaking like movie. I know it's like not, you know, not this huge big budget thing, but you were so terrific in it. I loved it to death. I've seen it like 50 times.
Hell
and
yeah.
I was so excited to like actually get to like meet you, and like immediately you sat on my lap and we took a picture, and I was like, oh my God, she's so wonderful. I'm so excited. You know, here I am with Augie Duke. And so I have to tell you, like I've met people that might be like a little bit well better known that didn't affect me at all, but meeting you was like really like one of my favorite people I've met since we've lived in California, really.
And I met Augie as a fellow worker, and I have a hearing problem.
Yeah.
I don't hear too well. I was the minister marrying Sadie Katz to
In Clown Fear.
In Clown Fear. And Augie was a bridesmaid, and the broad down at the end of the wedding line was saying something. I couldn't hear her. And the cameras are rolling, and I'm not saying anything because I'm waiting for my cue line. And I don't hear it, so they got frustrated with me. And Augie was so sweet. She helped me out because she's a generous actor. And she said to the broad down at the end, listen, Ron can't hear you. Do something, hold something up. This way, when he sees that, he knows to deliver his line. And then after she said that, she went and laid down on the table. You did. To take a little nap. And I just thought she was so kind and so generous because that film was a disaster to begin with. For me, it was hell because
for you, wait, for just you it was hell?
I speak for myself. I know Sadie and I, Augie, we were in the dressing room. We were in whose trailer? Was it your trailer? Whose trailer were all
I don't know.
the girls in?
Me and combined our trailers. We're like, let's share a trailer. Yeah.
And
it
I
was our
was in a trailer with the sexiest women in film today. Augie Duke, Sadie Katz, and a couple of other ones. Well, these dames decided to discuss all the men that they fell in love with, had sex with, how big their penises were or small, how lousy they were.
But we're not going to tell you who any of those people are.
And I got such an education in that trailer. And I said, if this was a reality show, we would win an award. For sure. But we had more fun in that. Remember the laughs we had in that trailer? I mean, we had a good time.
That should have been the movie. Just us in the trailer talking about obviously the size of penises. I can't even remember.
Yes. Well, Sadie Katz.
Sadie.
She's a size queen.
I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go on her podcast after this. By the way, her new podcast.
How's she doing?
She's doing good.
Yeah, I want to see Sadie maybe on Sunday because now Sadie's going to co-produce with me the film that I wrote called The Gift of Magic, and she's in it also. So
that's fantastic.
We're going to talk about it.
So
let's go back. I want to go back to Augie. Okay, so let's go back to Augie. So first of all, how long have you actually been acting, and did you get into acting because your family is basically like an entertainment family?
Yeah, I guess it was in the genes, right? It was in the blood. I just was a weird child, and I talked to myself a lot and had make-believe in my room. I was a very weird person. I still am, really. My dog is also running around like a psychopath, being like, Mom, I need water. Mom, I need a freaking... You should see her right now. It's insane. I'm like, Pip, I'm going to... Anyway, so yeah, and then I just realized, okay, I think I want to make believe and aka act. So, and my mom was an actress at the time. So it was, so I've been doing it for like 20 years.
But your mom is gorgeous. I looked up, I see once in a while you post pictures and stuff. Like I can see where the beauty comes from because you have a beautiful family.
Thank you.
I'm getting used to the red hair.
I love the red hair.
I hated it. When she did it red, I hated it. I went crazy.
Oh, I love it.
So I told her, I hate your red hair. I kind of like it now because I'm not used to. I liked you blonde. I thought blonde you look like American Pie.
I kind of thought I looked like a psychopath, heroin addict, washed out blonde. But thank you.
No, it's a blonde. You look
I
like
like
it's a blonde. You were the girl next door.
Give
It's
me
a
one.
redhead.
Uh-oh, hang on. Give her
What'd
1
you say?
second.
I'm giving water to my dog so she could just be quiet for 1 second.
We have the same problem. Laura.
We have the same problem with our dog too, so it's funny. Everybody thinks she's beautiful in red, though, the chat room. And I got lots of...
Yeah, but I knew her as a blonde.
Yeah, you knew her as a blonde.
And then when
I don't even remember her.
she
as a
was
blonde
very,
once.
very pretty as a blonde. She had, like the girl next door. She looked very American Pie. The redhead, she looks like Fire Down Below. She's
Ooh,
sexy.
Fire Down Below.
The redhead is Fire Down Below.
I love it. And actually,
I like it now.
When I put the picture up, the promo picture for the show, all kinds of people were like, "Oh my God, look at the beautiful hair! She's so gorgeous and all this
She
stuff."
is beautiful.
So people love it. So you're waking
And you
up.
know something, folks? She's very beautiful in person because she has a very beautiful smile. Camera doesn't really get that smile as much as you get it in person. And Augie's one of my favorite people. She's very kind to me. She treats me well. She respects me. She doesn't treat me like an old man, like a grandfather. She treats me like one of her buddies. And that's why I love her. And I do love you, you little stinker.
I love you
You know,
guys.
we never see enough. Last time I saw you was at Sadie's birthday.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
Birthday party.
It was
I
the week
was-
before I had my knee operation.
Yeah, and I was super paranoid, obviously.
Yes.
For good reason. I had my mask on. I told everyone to fuck off. I'm like, get away, get away, get away, get away, get away. Get away.
Me, you didn't say that to me. She did.
We had masks on though when we were a lot of that night, not the whole night, but we had masks on. Okay, so here's I want to go because I like I know a lot about all the different things that you've been in. Ron never looks at stuff anyway, but one thing that I find very cool about you and your career, because you are in a lot of horror movies, you have not been pigeonholed as a horror actress because you do so many other movies that gives you much more.
Jimmy, please. You pronounce it horror, not horror.
Say horror. How do you say it?
Horror. Make it
I
have
know, I say whore. I'm just
Horror.
kidding.
It sounds like it sounds like horror movies, like a whore.
No.
A whore, a prostitute. That's what it say. Horror.
Horror.
No,
It's not horror.
It's pronounced. If you listen, New York language started before anywhere else in the country. So when we say horror, it's a horror film, not a horror. Horror film is
It's horror film.
horror.
Okay,
Say horror.
so you didn't obviously you've done that on purpose. I mean, to have a more longevity in a career because you can't be like a 60-year-old hot scream queen. Doesn't really work all that well. Once you get older and your acting chops. Because I saw you in a TV show. I don't even remember the name of it, but the TV show where you played Joan Jett, and I fucking loved it.
Excuse me, Jimmy.
Huh?
I saw one of the films that you were in years ago.
Uh-huh.
You were a very old scream queen.
Oh yeah. No, Holly Oaks or something, right? Weren't you played Joan Jett in a TV series on Netflix or something called Holly Oaks?
It's called, I think there is. Red Oaks. But there is a show called Holly Oaks. A British show, yeah. Red Oaks. Yeah. It's funny because. Yeah.
It was fun. Well, go ahead, say something. Tell us a little bit about
No, I
it.
was gonna say you get sort of pigeonholed when you do. I guess I actually haven't done that many horror films, but for some reason you do a horror film, and then all of a sudden people are like, "Scream Queen." I'm like, no, really.
No,
But
you're not a scream queen. I worked with you. You're very natural. But when
no,
you
I'm
do
not. Yeah, I mean,
you're not a scream queen. Most scream queens have big tits and they don't know how to act. They read lines. But you know, I mean, really, they all have their tits hanging out in their panties and they're screaming. That's supposed to be acting. You don't do that. When you talk, when you deliver a line, it's acting. You're an actress. You're not a scream queen.
Well, Scream Queen is
Jimmy's
supposed
a
to be
screaming
an-
queen.
Yeah, I'm a screaming queen.
Jimmy's the scream queen here. He's gonna take that with it.
Actually, you have some because I went through your IMDb to write down some of the movies. I haven't seen all of them, but I wrote some of them down because basically, like you've worked with like 30 people that have been on our show.
I'm sure.
in different films, a lot of fun ones. And I want to know, is Bloodcraft any good? I know that's a James Cullen Bresek. He's a friend of ours, and he actually wrote in. He and I wrote in a book that became a New York Times bestseller for Sean Kanan. I love the poster for it, and we had Michael Welch and Dave Sheridan on it.
Love Dave Sheridan. One of my favorite people.
He's coming on next week. Him and Felissa are coming on next week.
Dave is one of my favorite people. I love him.
He's a really good guy. He's such a
Oh,
sweetheart.
he's
He's so funny.
and he's so good. He stuck up for me on a film when I was being brutalized by the director, and he stuck up for me, and I was so grateful.
What's up with this? Why is it like I hear this more and more? The director was terrible. This was terrible. I'm like, can we stop that? Can we all just be nice to each other for fuck's sake?
Yes.
Well, you know, a lot of the people in the business today are not professional. I went in it yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm in the business 64 years. I remember a time when the treatment of an actor was a lot different than the treatment of an actor today. Okay? There was a time when the actor could say to the director, let's discuss this scene. Maybe we could fine-tune it better because I'm not quite comfortable with what we have to do. I suggest to you what we should do. If you like it, we'll use it. If not, we don't. You can't do that today. The director tells you, go fuck yourself, or you're off the film. They make fun of you.
Yeah.
People today have lost respect for older people.
For everybody, too.
No.
though.
Elderly people. I mean, I drive an Audi TT Roadster, lemon yellow convertible. Okay? I was driving down the street one day and somebody didn't like the way I was driving. And he said, hey, you old fuck, get yourself a Ford. You know?
Hey, that's a great line though. Hey, you old
Fuck, get a Ford. Instead, because I wasn't driving my car a million miles an hour because it's.
Yeah. That's when did you call him a schmuck at least? Are you like?
No, I at the traffic light opened my door, got out, and I said, listen, you motherfucker, I'm going to tear your lungs out. And I'm going to shove your lungs right up your ass, you stupid fucking idiot. You want to play with me? And the guy took off. He went right through the light. He thought I was crazy. Well, you know, it's because I'm 80 doesn't mean I can't beat the shit out of him.
Are you 80 now?
Yeah, I'll be 81.
He's almost 81.
Yeah,
Oh my God. What's the secret? Tell me.
a lot of sex.
You say a lot of sex?
Yeah, of course I do. What do you think? I don't have sex?
Yeah,
Because you're 80 doesn't mean you dry up. You get weirder. When you're 80, you get more perverted than when you're 20.
I know.
Meanwhile,
I get
are you still with the same guy?
Yeah, Michael. Mm-hmm.
I know. I don't want to mention his name because he gets paranoid. Well, Michael sees me coming. He smiles and runs away. He suddenly has to go to the men's room or the bar. You know, he has to get a drink because the first thing I say out of my mouth is, "Hi, when is the wedding?" And he runs away. He's a sweet guy, but I think we should.
I know, and me and Sadie both.
I think we got to get rid of Michael. Get one that's going to marry you. How long are you with Michael? How many years?
God. We've been together 5 years. 5 years.
Oh, see, it's only 5.
What do you mean only 5?
That's not that
I've been
long.
out with Jimmy 3 months, and I said I'm no backstreet guy. You're with somebody, leave him and marry
That's
me.
different though, because I was with somebody. They're not with other people.
And Jimmy left. Jimmy was with this guy 24 years. He
Wow.
dumped that guy for me in a flash in a minute. I'm quality shit.
Wow. That's, I mean, you know, life happens. When you fall in love, you fall in love. You know.
I said to Jimmy, marriage tomorrow or goodbye, Jack. He said, I'll marry you. I said, okay.
I want you to marry us, though, if we do get married. Just like Sadie wants you to marry them, too. I'm like,
Sadie, she wants me to become a minister. I said, what do you mind?
You can do that.
I played a minister.
It's not hard to do, though. It's not hard to do.
You've played enough ministers in movies.
Yeah, he knows how to do it.
So you
guys, everybody should see Clown Fear, you guys, and get it so you can see Augie and Ron and Sadie and everybody who's in it, because it's got a great cast. Might as well.
Actually, I must tell you,
the end result wasn't that bad.
No, the beginning of the movie could have been good. It was interesting. Our scenes, the wedding scene, I liked a lot because okay. No rehearsals today, folks, so you don't know what's going on. Sadie's marrying this guy, and I'm the minister, and I'm giving them their vows, and suddenly the groom-to-be said, you're a fucking whore. I'm not going to marry you. And I jumped. I went, boom! I got scared. And the sound came out, and they said, Ron, you can't react. You can't. I said, but I didn't know what he was going to do. He really scared me when he called her a fucking whore.
Dawn says she's seen it 4 times.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Sadie. Sadie's like my daughter. Nobody's going to call her a fucking whore. But anyway, so Sadie was hysterical laughing. And anyway, beginning of the film was good. It had a good beginning. I liked the idea that he misunderstood the panty thing about the night before. And suddenly it went porno. All the broads are naked in the pond. For 7 hours, all you see is tits floating in water and some perverted-looking actor sitting there looking at these broads like a perv. And I said, oh, this film has gone down to Shitsville. But it started off with a story. It was good. And you were good. Everybody was good.
You look so good on film. You really do.
But she looks better in person, I think.
Oh,
No, I really mean
Everybody,
that.
everybody looks better in
no,
person.
that's awesome. I love hearing that. I thank
Oh,
you.
only because on film you're in 2 dimension, in person you're in 3 dimension. And when I see your smiles and those little dimples and your face, it doesn't show that in film.
Well, I
Because the
play
film-
crazy characters that are super intense usually, or I'm, an
Oh, but
angry.
the film washes out your features. Look how nice I look on film. You should see me in person. Well, you will. You do. In person, I look like an old troll. But on film, like, look how nice.
No. Look at
Look
you.
50.
Look at you.
50,
Look at
50
you.
on film. 50 on film.
You do. You don't
First.
fucking.
150 in person.
So wait, I'm going to do some bragging for you. So here's some of the people you guys that Augie's had a chance to work with, and some of the movies that you guys should see her in. So she did a movie called Money Shot, and I only wrote down Jason Mewes, Josh Hammond, and Al Snow because they've all been on the show. So I brought that up. Awaken, and this one has a great cast. Jason London, who's been on the show. Robert Davi's been on the show. David Keith, Michael Copon, Vinnie Jones, Daryl Hannah, Krista Campbell's been on the show. Edward Furlong, Michael Pare, who you know.
Michael Pare. I want to see him. I haven't seen him in 40 years.
And she's got the black guys. She's got the Black Room with Alex Reinhardt and Robert Donovan, and they were both in Art of the Dead, which is one of the better indie films that we've seen. Natasha Henstridge, Lynn Shaye's been on the show. Tiffany Shepis has been on the show. Hell's Kitty, that has like an amazing cast. We actually originally heard about that movie when Victoria DeMare was on the show.
Right.
Well,
Adrian Barbeau's been on the show. Michael Berryman's been on the show. Alyssa Dowling's been on the show. Bill Oberst Jr.'s been on the show. Doug Jones has been on the show. Kelly Maroney's been on the show. Barbara Nedzelkova's been on the show. And then it also had Courtney Gaines, Lee Merriweather, and Chanel Ryan. I mean, that's like an all-star cast.
well, also everyone's been on your show.
I know. Well, I specifically did that, though, because I like to be able to tie it
Well, wait,
together.
you left Sadie's name out.
Sadie's not in Hell's Kitty.
No, she's worked with Sadie.
I know. I haven't gotten to that
She
yet.
worked with Sadie in that piece of shit together.
And then you got Acceleration with Al Sapienza, who we just had on the show not too long ago. Chuck Liddell, Sean Patrick
Nice.
Flannery, Kenny Trejo, Dolph Lundgren, which Dolph Lundgren has gotten really handsome as an old guy.
Yeah, he has.
He's really handsome. We have Clown Fear, you guys, with Andy Wayne and Alyssa Dowling and Sadie and Sarah French and Gianni Capaldi and Rufus Dorsey.
Ron
And
Russell.
Augie Duke and Ron Russell.
Yay!
Yay! And then you have a TV series that looked amazing called Gravity from back in it's early when you were a little bit younger than you are now. And the premise of it is it's like a suicide survivors group or something, right?
A botched suicide. Yeah, it's like when suicide
It
doesn't
looked-
work out.
Hey, Augie, what happened?
Hang on, wait. And it had a great cast, you guys. Kristen Ritter, who's like huge, Bing Rames, Ivan Sergey, and Rachel Hunter, which is Rod Stewart's wife. It looks really good. Like you have such a cool, diverse portfolio
Diversified.
of things that I think that everybody should be like Googling your IMDb and watching everything she's in, you guys. Now go ahead, you can speak.
Oh, I love it.
What happened to that film? What happened to that film titled Rose? Something Rose.
Killer Rose. She's not in Killer Rose.
She was in Killer Rose.
Were you in Killer Rose?
Yeah.
No, what's
No,
Killer
she's
Rose?
not in Killer Rose.
You weren't in Killer Rose?
No, that's Dave Sheridan was in Killer Rose, and Felissa Rose is in Killer Rose.
Yeah, I know that, but I thought
No, we didn't meet her there.
you were on the set. So I think you
No, we didn't meet her till Clown Fear.
met you at Clown Fear.
Yeah, that's the first time we ever met her. Are you kidding me? We had never met you before.
I
Clown
met
Fear.
you on Clown Fear for the first time, and an hour later we were tongue kissing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not
But
really. That was a joke, folks.
No, me too here.
We've been there for 2 years.
I feel like I know you forever. I don't feel
Yeah,
like
because
it's
we do.
2 years. When I see you 10 times, if even. I mean, I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
We have to see more of you. The boyfriend.
I
Maybe,
know.
maybe Michael.
I wanted to come to the desert to visit you guys, but I want to make sure you have your shots and all that stuff. That's why I asked you.
Yes, definitely. I'm meeting Sadie on Sunday, I think,
She
because
gonna come?
I want. No, we're going into LA. I'm trying to reach Lainey Kazan. Son of a bitch, I can't reach her because her home number was changed and her
Mhm.
cell phone, her box is full. I'm happy that Lainey's box is full, but I text messaged her just today. I'm sure I got an answer because I want her to play the lead in my movie.
Is she okay? Let's hope she's okay.
I hope she's okay. I haven't spoken to Lainey
This is
yet.
us reaching out to her right now, and hopefully she's
Right,
fine.
Lainey,
No,
we're talking about you.
I haven't spoken to Lainey in maybe 6 months. But I wrote the script. It's wonderful. She's going to love it because it's about her. It's good. It's a comedy, of course, with my crazy humor. And unfortunately, nothing for you. Maybe I don't have a character for you.
How dare you?
I'm gonna get you in some
There's
stuff
other
though.
movies. There's other movies.
I've got like
coming.
16 films I'm producing.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna get you in.
other movies coming.
As soon as I get money, I'm waiting to get money. But
No, I needed a Dizzy Dane blonde, waspy, kind of drunken, crazy old whore.
she could do
So
that.
no, I asked Sadie.
I was literally gonna go. You mean Sadie Katz?
Yeah. So I asked Sadie
We
to
love
play
Sadie.
that part. I love it. I adore my Sadie. Are you kidding?
So let's go back to.
My-
I want to go.
my
I want
other
to go back
daughter.
to you. All right. So you've done all these different great things. Everybody in the chat room is like loving everything. So let's do some hypothetical things. First of all, what are your favorite kinds of movies? Let's say you were gonna like you and your boyfriend are soon. You and your fiance, soon to be husband, are sitting on
Only
the
should
couch.
happen.
And you have nothing to do and you want to watch a movie, what's your go-to? Do you have like a go-to movie? Like, oh my God, I love this movie and you've seen it a bunch of times?
A go-to movie? No,
Yeah.
I mean, I like really dark shit.
Okay.
I like disturbing, like, I don't know if you guys have seen this show yet, Mark Ruffalo. It's called I Know This Much Is True on HBO.
No.
About his twin brother who's schizophrenic. And my friend plays the double of him, Gabe Fazio, an incredible actor. And it is such an incredible show. So I Know This Much Is True is definitely one of my top ones right now. But then I like to mix it up a little and be like, that was too disturbing. I need something funny and bright now. Let's watch something like, what would I watch to like give me a relax?
Did you watch Emily in Paris? I liked Emily in
No,
Paris.
Augie. We watched a film the other night. I
did.
rarely ever laugh at movies, okay?
Oh,
I was hysterical in this movie.
he's the only person who has never seen this movie.
Never saw this movie. I was hysterical. It was the funniest. You must watch it. What's it
She's
called?
seen it. Everybody in the world has seen it.
What's it called?
Hey, you guys, Ron, for the first time ever, the other night, Ron, for the first time, saw There's Something About Mary, and he fucking, loved it. He thought it was hilarious.
Oh,
Wait.
wait, you just
Right.
hold on. Ron,
He's never seen it
Never.
before.
Have you seen that film?
Everybody's seen it. It was such a huge hit.
It's such a funny show. It's such a funny movie. I mean,
When he masturbated and had an orgasm on his head, and she saw it, she said, "What is that white cream on your ear?" He said, "It's gel,
Hair gel.
hair gel." And she took it and put it on her bangs. I was crying. What a
Lynn
piece of
Shay,
work.
Lynn Shay is in that movie. Isn't she great?
I-
Yes,
Yeah,
she's great.
she's great. Great.
Tan,
I love,
like really tan, fake tan. Oh my god,
Yes.
it's right.
I love that
She
film.
was very funny.
Funny film.
So, okay, so like, let's say a bucket list. You've worked with all these like great people. What's a male and a female actor that you have not worked with that you think would be awesome to be on your bucket list to work with? And as you're thinking about that, if you could have ever been in any movie that's ever been made in history, what movie would you have liked to have been in?
Wow, that is a really good question. Let me think about that, but I'll tell you who I would love to work with because it's just such a dream for me is Tilda Swinton. I'm a big fan of
Oh,
Tilda.
yes.
Who?
But Tilda Swinton, great pick.
Who's Tilda?
Swinton.
You know who she is.
Who's she?
She's like the Academy Award.
She's like Betty Davis wrong, but now I'm kidding.
How do I not know her? Why?
You know her.
I know her by
No.
face. Not
She looks like
She's got
a
the real skinny face.
anyway. Whatever.
She's like-
move on.
beautiful.
And I'll look up.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Hang on,
I
I'll tell
don't
you.
know that name.
Yes, you do.
Who's
Okay.
it?
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda.
Nobody. By the
Okay.
way, nobody has ever said Tilda Swinton. So I love that because all the girls always say Meryl Streep, and we're like, oh, come on, give me a fucking break.
Oh, really? Well, yeah. I mean, she's incredible, but Tilda Swinton's just so weird and bizarre and unique, and I wanna like play with her.
No,
Yes.
I knew Betty Davis really well, and as a person, she was the complete opposite as a movie actress. It's amazing how she became that sophisticated, elegant, perfect woman.
Tilda Swinton's
Wait
going
a
to be
minute.
Auntie Mame in the remake of Auntie Mame.
They're not redoing Auntie Mame.
Yeah, they are.
Right away. They're going to ruin it. Rosalind Russell owns that. It belongs to Rosalind Russell. Get out of here.
I feel like there's a lot more actresses that I want to work with than male actors. Maybe that's just like the feminist in me, but there are a lot of actors as well I'd like to work with. But you know who I'm a big fan of is, do you guys know who Oscar Isaac is? The
Yes.
actor. Ron's like, who the fuck?
No, because I don't, and people say, who would you like to work with? And I say, I worked with her when I was 19, Sophia Loren. I was in a movie with her when I was 19. I would love to work with Sophia again nowadays as old people. And I mean, you never know. It might happen. If I write something good, Sophia may like it because she's back to working.
Yeah.
She was a delightful woman. She was 26, I was 19. And she was so sweet. She kissed me on my cheek. I never washed my face. Date. I was so in love with her. I thought she was what a charming, beautiful person. That's when I met Tab Hunter because he was on the set. And Tab and I stayed friends until he passed.
Isn't Oscar Isaac the guy from Ex Machina? Yeah, he's freaking cool. Nobody's ever picked him either. But I also think he's in like Avengers and he's in like the Star Wars movies. He's in all
but he was such an indie darling actor that was so unique, and he did these really incredible indies. And I was like, who is this guy? And now he's in these huge films. But also, here's one you both know, Gina Rollins.
Yes,
love her.
That is a top tier, woman under the influence.
She lived down the road from us, and I was trying to reach her to get her on this show, and then she passed away. She passed away, and I was so unhappy because she was one of my favorite. She was married to what's his name, a wonderful actor, whatever his name was. They're a great team. I don't know names.
Oh my God, why am I blanking on the name right now? I know who you're talking about. Blanking on the name.
What's his name? The Greek fellow. He was Greek.
Well, she was with Cassavetes, right? She was with Cassavetes.
That's it. That's who her husband was. Cassavetes.
Oh, she still was with Cassavetes. Okay, so that's they made
he died first, and then she died, I think, a year ago or so. And she lived right on the road in one of the country clubs here.
I think Oscar's hot in the chat room. They like him.
No, if I had to make a movie with my favorite male star would be Jason.
He likes Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. I want to play with him. The two of us are homosexuals, and we're in bed naked making love. And then the movie opens up. Maybe.
She probably doesn't even know who that is. You know who Jason Statham is? He's like a big action.
I know who he is.
He doesn't do much.
I know who
he
is.
does.
Sexy, gorgeous, sexy, hunky. Is he? He's the.
See, she doesn't think he's sexy either. I don't think
she's not. She's not gay.
Yeah.
You have to be a gay guy.
That's true. That's true. If I had to pick a guy to like make out with, Michael.
So I should not say it. There you go. There you go. That was good.
That son of a bitch. That's not marrying you. I'm going to cut his pocket. When I see him, I'm going to scissor, and if he's not circumcised, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to make him 1 inch. I'm going to cut it right off.
He's definitely circumcised. Thank God.
He's probably sitting there too. He's probably sitting there listening.
He's like right here. Yeah.
He is fabulous, though. He's a really nice
I like
guy.
Michael, but next time I see him, I'm going to say, Michael, I'm from Brooklyn.
So here's the deal.
Wait a minute. I know Italian people, if you know what I'm talking about. A little. If you don't marry her next year, we're going to have your fucking knees broken, your neck broken, your face burned, and your fingers chopped off.
We're going to give him a year. After COVID is over and we can go out, he has a year.
I'm ready for that wedding. I'm ready for that wedding.
Then we'll be all ready because we need a good party to go to.
We
know yours will be filled with celebrities because you're a superstar.
I threaten Miles all the time. Miles said, "We're getting married." I said, "Miles, we will never find anybody more compatible for you than Sadie. Both are insane together. You ever go out with them? They're crazy. They kill each other. They're wild, but they love each other."
Yeah. I love the balance between them. I think the balance with those two is
They are the best. They are the best.
Yeah.
Nobody could tolerate him, and nobody could tolerate her. Yet they tolerated. Oh, he's a piece of work, you know. He's not exactly Mr. Charmer. No. I love Miles to death. He's like my son. But Miles is difficult. I feel sorry for all the other girls that went out with him. Miles is a controller. Very, very controlling and very much his set in his ways. I love his mother, Harriet. She's an old dude from the Bronx.
She came to Thanksgiving.
I love her. And she's very strict, and Miles is like his mother.
They're fabulous.
Sadie,
None of
on
us
the other hand,
we all have our shit.
Yeah, you're right. We all have our shit.
well, Sadie, on the other hand, is a free spirit. Sadie
Yes.
doesn't really know what time it is, what year it is, or where she is.
Yeah.
She just floats. That's why I love her so much, because she's like me.
So you guys, too, listen what, if you guys want to follow Augie on Instagram, she's at Duke Augie, not Augie Duke, but at Duke Augie. So it's DukeAugie. She posts a lot of fun stuff. So if you were going to recommend one of your projects for everybody listening that needs to watch it, it's like one of your more favorite performances, what would you actually recommend for everybody to go to watch? And don't say Clown Fear.
It depends on what.
Okay, you can pick a horror one and a non-horror one. How's that?
Well, the two ones I'm really proud of are both not horror, but I do have a horror thriller that I'm really proud of coming out this year. So I could tell them about that. There's two films that I'm really proud of, and it depends on what kind of type of film people like that are watching this. But one of them is called Burning Kentucky, and the other one is called Trauma is a Time Machine. And they're both, dark and gritty, but I'm really proud of them. And then I have a horror thriller Groundhog's Day style movie that I did with Michael called 645. You can follow them on Instagram. That's coming out like this year or next year. We're not sure yet, but yeah, I think those are the three I'm proud of.
Isn't the Burning Kentucky, didn't you win like a zillion awards for that? Like in like the King Shit Actress?
Which was shocking because I've never won anything, so it felt very humbling. Yeah, I won some stuff.
You should have won.
You put that stuff came on my page, and I commented and liked it, and I wrote about it.
I know.
Burning Kentucky
I like you, so I'll watch. Even if your film stinks, I'll watch it just because you're in it. I do that with a lot of
I love
movie stars. No, a lot of friends of mine that are in shitty movies, famous movies, famous people. I watch it because I love them and their performance, not necessarily the story.
That's me. Lance Henriksen is my favorite actor, and I watch every Lance Henriksen movie. And we're not really friends, but we've gone to dinner and we've done some stuff. So we're like friendly acquaintances.
I just saw.
And he told me, he did this movie. It was about like Bigfoot, and it was like really the biggest piece of shit ever that I'd ever seen. It was so bad. I had to watch it though, just because I see everything he's in. And so I asked him about it, and I was like, that was like a really shitty. That's like probably like the worst movie you ever did. And he's like, yeah, but he said I got to make my what do you call it when you have your divorce and you got to pay payments?
Alimony.
Yeah, I have to make my alimony
payments. Learn that word.
He's like, I have to make my alimony payments.
No, totally. I did a film with Lance. We did a Western, but yeah, you got to make a buck here and there and be like, you know what, maybe it's not the best film, but I got to pay these bills.
That's right. The bills got to get paid. I understand that totally.
I get it.
I have 6 films coming up. And I think you're in one of my films.
Am I? Are we? Did we do Thomas Churchill? Did we do the Thomas Churchill film together? No, you didn't do the Thomas
No. Dave's film. Read his script.
Oh, Dave Bailey. Are you going to be in Dave?
I think you're one of the daughters.
Well, maybe you don't know it yet, but he wants you for one of them.
No, I'm your father. I played the father. And
it's Sherry Davis and Sadie.
No, there's more than that. Sherry Davis is one of my daughters. I think Sadie's my other daughter. If I'm not mistaken, I think you were in that film also.
So maybe you haven't heard about it yet, but you're gonna.
His script is wonderful.
I'm excited to read it.
A good script came for once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to do it.
So how is it for you? Because you've been in bigger productions and you've also done, some of the like barely has a nickel kind of like things. Like how is that for you? And how is it coming from a family where your mom, did movies, where they probably like weren't shot on a cell phone. Back then they didn't even have cell phones. So like, how is that for you? Because like you've come from, it's kind of like Ron, and we were talking to Monica Henry earlier, like things have changed a lot. And you kind of came in at the beginning. You kind of like came in and started becoming popular at the beginning of cell phone movies.
I know. Yeah. I just have a lot of respect for any filmmaker that's like, I'm going to do a movie, and they actually do it. Because
that's a good thing too, because it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, but you know what, Og? So many of them stink. I mean, I go to these red carpets and I sit there and I'm in torture and agony because the film is so bad. The acting is bad. Like I tell Jimmy, people read lines. Cannot read a line. You have to become the character.
Yeah.
Like, put something in those lines. Now, when I played the minister, here's how it happened. I met him at a red carpet. The Asian guy, what's his name? Whatever.
Ming,
Wing, Ting, whatever. And he said to me, "You're fabulous. I love your personality. I want you to play the gay minister." I said, "Fine, I'm good at that. Comedy is my thing." And for some reason, Lionsgate said to him, "No gay." So he came over to me and he said, "No gay, play it straight." And I said to myself,
the morning of.
Yeah, the morning of. And I said to myself, "Fuck you."
Wait, the morning of said, "Play it straight."
The morning of the straight, he said, "Don't." So he had been practicing it gay, and then he had to like change it to
I wasn't
straight.
doing it like a faggot. I wasn't doing it like a fairy. I was doing it like a used to how I did it. So when I yelled, "What about me?" that was the gay way. I thought they were going to edit it out, but they left all of it in.
No,
I was like the loafers. I was very like the loafers as the minister, deliberately.
No, I love it.
You needed comedy there because he just said the most horrible things to Sadie. And I was pissed off because the camera was shooting Sadie face on. I'm looking at Sadie and I'm saying, wow, what a good piece of work she's doing. She's trembling. She's perspiring. She's holding back the tears. Nice piece of work. And I couldn't wait to see the film. Well, when I saw the film, Ming Wing Ding decided to use the over the shoulder, the back shot. So you never saw Sadie's wonderful performance. He just really hated her and did everything he could to destroy her. But we screwed him because he wasn't inviting her to the red carpet. And I contacted him and I said, "You don't want me to go public, tell people what I think about you." I said, so I said, Sadie,
Look at Augie, she's like, holy shit.
I said, Sadie Katz will be my date at the red carpet.
And they're writing in the chat room, Ming Wing Ding.
I don't know what the fuck his name is. He's got some kind of an Asian name.
No, he's Ming.
What is it called?
Ming. His name's Ming.
Not Ming.
Too.
No, it's not Ming.
Oh.
What was his name? Wing?
Man. She's not going to tell you because she's not going to get involved in this.
I don't think he's in the business anymore.
Yeah, he is. He's making a new movie.
Oh, I thought he went back to running a Chinese restaurant.
No, Ron!
That was terrible. No, actually, I just saw on his Instagram he went to some foreign country to make another film.
Oh, another beauty. Another winner.
Look at her. She's like, holy shit. Anyway, hold on.
Too bad we're not in that one, Og.
We have 3 minutes, you guys, so listen up. So this is Augie Duke, you guys.
Who is a delightful, delicious, lovely human being.
Literally one of the best young actresses in Hollywood today, you guys. She's really so fabulous. And not only is she a great actress, but she's a really great person. Ron's only joking when he talks about like cutting off the balls of her fiance.
No, I'm not.
He's actually a very, very, very nice guy.
I am not joking. I know me. I'm going to put them in a jar.
And he's fabulous. You guys want to follow her on Instagram? It's at Duke Augie. Let's build her. You're not on Twitter, are you? Are you on Twitter?
But I'm never on it.
Okay, so don't go.
I'm on it. It's Augie.
Okay, so
I'm never on it.
You can like find her. You want to watch all her different movies, especially the ones. Can we watch the Kentucky Burning one yet? Is it out someplace that we can see it?
Yeah, Burning Kentucky's on like Amazon, iTunes, the whole,
okay,
all the virtual. That whole.
So everybody,
we'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna watch Burning Kentucky, you guys, because I know you want to watch words, and it's
we'll watch it tonight.
It'll be a lot of fun. So,
it's pretty, but it's cool. I think you'll like it. Hopefully.
Absolutely, and everybody has to go see.
Is it a decent script?
has to be a
The
one-on-one
script-
award.
Good script.
The script, yes, the script is really good. That is, yes, good
And
script.
everybody has to see whether you have to see Bad Kids Go to Hell, you guys, and look at and you should all everybody should have a poster of it with Augie autographing it in their collection because she's on the front of the cover. She's the first person that you see on the cover. It's literally like one of my favorite like indie films ever, and she's fabulous in it. And that's what made me so excited to go and meet her. So everybody go see Bad Kids Go to Hell. You'll love it. And everybody follow her on Instagram. And then when you're leaving the show, look up Partial Nudity Podcast because next Audie's going on Sadie's show called Partial Nudity Podcast. And Sadie talks. Sadie's kind of like Ron, pretty much like nothing. Everything
But
goes.
she has not. She has not invited me on her
She
show.
will. She's just getting started. She's only done 2.
Yeah, I know, but I if she had me on the show, it'd skyrocket to fame.
Anyway.
Augie, when you go on, tell Sadie I send her a big juicy kiss.
Yes. And have fun. And thank you so much for coming
And
on.
a big
we hope to
juicy
see
kiss
you
to
soon.
you. A big kiss to you.
I
The
love
next time you see Michael,
Next time he's like right there in the room.
well,
He's in his office. I'm gonna go tell him right now, though.
you know what you do.
Gotta
to
go.
him?
Hurry up.
No, put Brillo pads around your vagina.
Oh, okay.
That'll fix his wagon good.
Yeah. All right, Augie. Thank you so much. We want to thank the chat room, everybody in the chat room. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week.
Love you. Love you.
I love
Warren.
you guys. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank
Bye.
you. See you
Bye.
very
See
soon.
ya.
Warren.
Can try not to get so wrong.
Yeah, we in the mix. Yeah, we in the mix. It's another episode. Here we go. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Interviewing the hottest, newest, and truest of today's celebrities. Make sure to subscribe so you can get notified weekly. Jimmy Star, he's the king of cool. Ron Russell, he's a gorgeous dude. Chat room is live and you would be a fool not to vibe with us at the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Come watch it live on W4CY Radio. Missing past episodes, download on iTunes. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. It's the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell.
I mean, come on. Oh, guess what?
Hang on.
I would say